Welcome to the Felicity Yarn Studio channel. My name is Zoe, and as always, I'm so happy to have you guys here with me today to talk about the fiber arts. So if this is your first time here, a big welcome. This is my space where I like to talk about knitting, crochet, spinning, yarn dyeing, any other kind of fibery crafts like that. And of course, to all of my returning viewers, a big welcome back. As always, I'm so happy to have you guys here with me today. And if you're looking for me on social media, you can find that information here on the screen, or I will leave links in the description box down below. That is also where you will find any show notes or links to things that I'm going to talk about today. So in the last episode, I talked about how my creative mojo is back, and it is definitely still around. One of my projects kind of took a left turn, but in a good way, a really good way. So I wanted to come on here and share that with you guys and kind of share some of the other things that have been happening in my dye pot recently. I am still doing a lot of work on advent calendars, and yeah, so let's just dive right in and I will show you guys what I've been working on. The main project that has been getting my attention as far as knitting goes here lately is living in this project bag that my Aunt Laura sewed for me earlier this year. And her and my Aunt Mary are selling bags under the name Fat Bottom Bags. And I believe they have an Etsy shop, and they are also selling bags through their local yarn shop in Brooksville, Florida. That shop is called Pan Banged Knits. They've been sewing Naomi and I a lot of bags up, so. But anyway, what's living in this bag, you may notice this yarn. This is the Brooklyn Tweed shelter in the Foothills colorway that I frogged a couple episodes back, that I was attempting to knit my Tsubaki pullover out of. And I know that I had talked about wanting to make a lovely cabled sweater out of this yarn. So this yarn was supposed to be my Rhinebeck sweater. It was supposed to be a nice big cozy cabled pullover, but that just wasn't cooperating, and I kind of just decided that I still wanted to knit with this yarn, and I still wanted to make something cozy for this fall that I could wear. And especially since Rhinebeck isn't happening, I was like, let me just go ahead and get myself a nice cozy fall garment as a bit of a consolation prize. So I decided to knit the Weekender sweater, and this is by Andrea Mowry, and it's knit inside out. So let me flip it around for you. The front and the back basically look the same, except for the back hem is a little bit lower, but yes, you knit it inside out to get this lovely reversed stockinette texture and that really pretty slip stitch detail down the front. It is super simple and super mindless, in a really good way though. Obviously, I have been enjoying this. I have about 14 inches of the body done here, and I think it calls for 15 inches, but I generally like something that is about 17 inches, especially if I'm going for a kind of tunic length here on this sweater. It's been a really enjoyable knit in the evenings. I can just kind of sit down and pick it up and get lost in the stockinette. And I really love this color. I'm really thinking that this is going to get a lot of wear this fall and winter. So I'm really happy that I decided to just go ahead and knit this beautiful yarn and utilize it rather than let it sit in a bag or in a bin somewhere and until I got up the nerve to knit that Bronwyn sweater. I am going to knit that sweater. Since Rhinebeck has been canceled, they are doing kind of a virtual market shopping event, I believe. So my plan is to buy a sweater's quantity of another non-superwash kind of special milled wool that I can make the Bronwyn sweater out of, because I still, when I think of a cabled sweater, that is kind of what I picture in my mind's eye. So I have decided that that is the pattern that I'm going to make, and I am going to make that sweater. It might not happen till next fall, but fingers crossed that the world gets back to normal and maybe next year I can wear the Bronwyn to Rhinebeck. But for the time being, this is my not Rhinebeck sweater. And yeah, the yarn was just too beautiful and too lovely to let it sit in a project bag or in the bin and not get used because, well, number one, I was a little bit intimidated by Bronwyn, but also, you know, I bought this back in January as a present to myself for my birthday, and yeah, I just really wanted to get it used. And I've got to say, my garment mojo has been a little bit lax this year, so this project has been a really nice kind of kick in the pants to get my garment mojo back up. And I have more than enough yarn, as again, I originally purchased this with a cabled sweater in mind, so I think I am on the 4th skein and I have 12 all together. So yes, the Weekender is getting a lot of love here and it is working up incredibly fast. I think I started this just over a week ago. So yeah, maybe next time you guys see this, it might be finished. Maybe, we'll see. I might have the whole body done and maybe I'll just have the sleeves left to do. We'll see. The next little bit of knitting that has gotten some of my attention, but not very much, you'll see. I really wanted to finish these socks. These are my Scrappy Socks. And I sat down last night and I put the cuffs on them. And that's all that I've done since the last time you guys have seen these. I really wanted to put the heels in as well, but I don't know, I really wanted to spin last night, so I got some spinning done instead. Yeah, I really like this little black cuff on top of these socks. These are from last year's advent calendar. I went through all the colors and things on the last episode. So again, not a ton of progress, but these will most definitely be finished by the next time you see them. I think I'm going to use the garnet color for the heels, but then I also kind of like the blue. Oops. So we'll see. I don't know. Or maybe I'll do one of each. Maybe not. So yeah, I haven't really been feeling the urge to knit on socks, mainly because that's a lot of my kind of in the car travel knitting and we just haven't been going anywhere lately. So I don't know. I just don't think to pick them up when I'm sitting down on the couch. They'll get done when they get done. It's not like I don't already have a box full of socks for this upcoming winter fall season. I'm not normally a big fall person, but for some reason I'm really anticipating this fall. I don't know. It hasn't been, I mean, it's been warm here, but not as like sweltering as it usually is, I feel like. I think I'm just looking forward to sweater weather and pulling out all of my cozy knits. I think it might be a comfort and a self-soothing type of thing. Oh, I did forget. I have also been putting in some rows on the Woodlark shawl. This is the knit that I am doing for the knit along that Naomi and I are running. Naomi is my sister. She's the yarn curator, so you guys should go and check out her channel on YouTube also. But I was probably like right around here the last time you guys saw it after my restart. So I am actually at the row where I need to start the color work, and I just haven't really had a good time where sitting down and looking at the color chart has been feasible. I'm having much better luck with this second start here. It's actually probably like the 6th or 7th start, but the second time that I actually got the shawl to grow some. I will say I was off on my stitch count at the end of section 1, so I think that was the other reason why I haven't really dove into the color work yet. I knew that starting that row there might be some faffing about to kind of get the numbers to work right if the stitch count was off. I haven't really seen anything on anybody's project notes on Ravelry or anything indicating that that information might be wrong. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to do was go ahead and put this, I think it's big enough to fit on a circular needle now, and so I won't have to be doing magic loop. So let's go ahead and move on to some crochet with my Battenberg blanket update. I feel like I'm saying a lot of alliteration in this episode. I'm just gonna pop some footage on the screen here for y'all because I didn't feel like wrangling up all those squares and bringing them up here. I believe my square count is somewhere in the 130s at this point. So my method for constructing this, the size that I want is approximately a 40 by 50 inch blanket. In order to get that, I need 17 by 21 rows of squares. So I'm making 2 of each color square, and I laid everything out, and I think I only need about 35 more colors, but 2 of each. So I need approximately 70 more color squares, and then clearly all of the white ones, and you join as you go with the white squares. So I don't know exactly where this leaves me, but there is progress being made, and I'm really enjoying seeing it grow as it lays out on the coffee table. So when I do work on it, it's like I get a hair up my butt and I work for 2 or 3 days straight on this blanket. I crochet some squares, I join a few squares, and then I kind of fall off for a couple of days. I'd like to get all of the color squares finished so that I can actually have them all laid out, because I feel like I join one and then I kind of rearrange, and then I join one and then I rearrange them again. So I'd like to have all of those done and kind of laid out, or at least have all of the pieces of the puzzle, so to speak, so that I can really kind of buckle down and get those white squares all made and get them all joined up. I think Christmas is doable. We'll see. Fingers crossed. So that's it for crochet. I have been doing a lot of spinning lately. Since the last time I spoke with you guys, I shared that I was working on a sweater spin for the Jupiter crop by Caitlin Hunter. So I also shared with you guys the color palette that I had in mind, which was the main color being like an olive green, and then the 4 contrast colors would be kind of like a light creamy color, and then kind of a more of a melon light green, and then a berry pink, and then like an eggplant purple as the last kind of main contrast color. So I had dyed up the greens. So this is the main body color. This is the little sample skein that I spun up. This is the Beautiful Ones by John Arbon that I had already had spun up. It's fiber that Naomi had sent me that just so happens to work with this color palette. I spun up my singles for the second color, this kind of melon green. And I dyed that color myself. These are ready to be plied together. I've just been letting these singles rest for a few days. If you ask Naomi, I am really impatient, and I usually only give them the like minimum 24-hour rest before I ply. So I've never noticed a huge difference. The flip side is I've never let my singles rest as long as I've let these rest. I think this is like the 4th or 5th day, so I will probably start plying these probably tomorrow. While these were resting, I started on one of the olive green braids, so I'm trying to finish that one first, since this is not the most enjoyable to spin, since these ones came out a little bit felty. So I thought I would go ahead and get one of those, get singles spun up one of those entire braids before I ply these together. But I did get this color dyed up as the next contrast color, and this is the final one. This came out a little more red than I was expecting or wanting. I wanted something a little bit more of a deeper purple plum eggplanty color. but it's okay. It's still really pretty and I think it'll work. I kind of want to see what it looks like spun up. I do have more bare fiber that I can dye if I'm really not happy with it, but let me see if I can get all of these in frame here for you. So yeah, this is the kind of color palette scheme, whatnot that I'm working on. So this will be my Jupiter crop. I just have a whole lot of spinning in front of me. But it's okay. It's actually going a little bit quicker than I expected it to. I don't know if I'm just getting a little bit more experience with spinning. The slightly felted braids, of course, are not going quite as quickly as the ones that aren't. So I really babied these when they were in the dye pot and they came out really perfect. They're not felty at all. This one is falling apart a little bit, but I mean, it's just for me, and I wasn't trying to make these braids look pretty before I pulled them up here. So yeah, other than dyeing fiber for my Jupiter crop, I finished dyeing some yarn for my ants, which I'm going to take a picture and pop on the screen because they're kind of tucked away right now. And then I've also been dyeing some things up for the shop. So I have lavender haze sock sets back in stock, and these really lovely fall sock sets, which were inspired by the colors that I dyed up in that fade for Aunt Mary. But it is just a nice kind of wine red pink. It goes into this really lovely orange like leaves, and I decided to speckle up the mini to go with it. Yeah, I'm really pleased with how these came out. I'm working on getting them photographed and listed in the shop. They should be there in the next day or two. I'm also working on a couple little mini skein sets in the same kind of palette, kind of the orange to, I don't know, what would you call this color? Like a Merlot? But yeah, they're coming out really pretty. I was just gonna kind of do them tonally, but I'm a speckle girl at heart. So I'm actually gonna put them back, start soaking them again so I can put some speckles on them. I think they're just gonna make a really nice little fade mini set. Alright guys, that does it for me. I have been caught by the monogamous bug and I've been really just smitten with my weekender, so I don't have a ton of other things to share with you, but I hope that you enjoyed today. Of course, if you like what you see, feel free to subscribe, hit the like button. I really appreciate having you guys here with me. Let me know down below what you guys have been working on. Are you looking forward to some fall and winter weather as well? And I will check back in with you guys in another week or two. So happy knitting. Bye.